Carl Howard-Smith also retires by rotation at this meeting. And as he signalled to shareholders at our 2016 meeting, he has chosen not to put his name forward for re-election and will resign from the board at the close of this meeting. That's after 40 wonderful years, and I don't think it would be right for him to just go off without a few words from me. Today we say farewell to Carl as a Mainfreight Director after 40 fabulous years. Have you got your hearing aid on, Carl? If he doesn't acknowledge, it means it's not on. He has also served as our legal counsel since our inception and will continue in that role for more years yet. Carl and I have known each other for close to 65 years. He moved into Bond Street in Grey Lynn when I lived in Dean Street, half a kilometre away. We were both friends of the two Vale brothers, Ken and Ray, whose parents owned a batch at Waiheke Island and regularly took us both there during school holidays from 1950 on. In our early teens, we all went to a Bible class in Surrey Crescent and formed a skiffle band, the Satterrocks, and performed around the town. Music and Waiheke Island proved strong bonds and a lifetime friendship. It was only natural that Carl would become Mainfreight's legal counsel and a director. In our early maverick days, Carl's experience and expertise as a criminal lawyer was well suited to some of the situations we found ourselves in. How else do you get off a fraud charge for altering the date on a temporary road licence? Well, you just get Carl to go out the back of the court with the judge at morning tea time, and then he comes back and says, "Don't worry about the fraud charge." Carl's father was the union delegate at Reed Rubber Tyres in Great South Road, and the father of the family who introduced us to Waiheke Island was a wharfie in the famous 151-day wharfie strike of 1951. So Carl grew up with a good understanding of unions and socialism. I think these growing up experiences gave Carl the ability to listen and understand that there are two sides to every argument. And these are very good skills to have as a company director. Carl has done as much as anyone to mould and create the pillars upon which Mainfreight is built. Honesty, integrity, longevity, fairness, care for our people and for our country. He also comes from a delightful family, a brother and a sister, also both lawyers, and his beautiful wife of 50 years, Pamela, and their sons, Damon and Brooke, and daughter, Emma. Carl's mother passed away a few years ago, but was famous for arguing that it was perfectly legal to ride her mobility scooter on the main road in Titirangi. "I've been doing it for years," she told the policeman. Carl, we owe you a huge debt of gratitude for your knowledge and wisdom and patience over the years, and you will be sorely missed. Thank you for those 40 years. I now invite Carl to say a few words.
I'd like to speak to you as a shareholder. The share price has increased 50 cents since the market realised that I was resigning. Gosh, those are great words, Bruce, and it's like being at your own funeral. I had to pinch myself to see if I was still alive. Bruce, you've had so much said about you that it's impossible to heap another accolade on you, but I will try. And this applies to you, Don. I'm starting to snivel, I'm not wobbling. You are the rock upon which this company was founded and built. Your experience, your determination, and above all, your courage led us to where we are today, and I speak now on behalf of all of you as shareholders. Don, in measure, those words obviously apply to you as well. And I'd like to say this, that we hear so much about corporate governance. We hear so much about what makes a director. Well, let me just say this about Don. He is probably one of the few global managing directors that emanate out of New Zealand. And I think I do not begrudge him 1 cent of his salary. To my fellow board members, may I say this, and I commend them to you as a shareholder. I've learned a lot from all of you. One of the things that has disturbed me is that we hear a lot of prattle about corporate governance. Everybody's got this phrase on their lips, corporate governance, corporate governance, corporate governance. Our directors are required to bring that knowledge with them to the board table. They are expected to have integrity. They are expected to understand the obligations that they owe to you and to our team at Mainfreight. And I would commend this board to you as being a board of directors that you can be justly proud of. I'd also like to acknowledge the 4 directors who've gone before me and what I learnt from them, and that, of course, was the late, great Sir Don Rowlands. I'd like to acknowledge Emmett Hobbs, Neil Graham, the ebullient Neil Graham, and John Fernyhough. Thank you very much. I'd also like to acknowledge some people in this audience today, because I see a lot of faces that I've known over the years and come to know, and terrified. I'm always terrified of the questions that you may ask of me when I'm having to stand up and talk nicely about myself. It's a very uncomfortable experience, believe me. But let me just say this, that we've had a long and loyal relationship with many people in this audience, and long may that continue. I see the friendly face of Gavin McDonald down there. Gavin, thank you for all your advice and experience. Gavin was the lead partner in Balgully, and today we have Anna Buckley, who's the chairperson of Balgully. Thank you very much. The other person I'd like to thank, you probably don't know much about her, except she's sitting just down there scribbling away. That's Nikki Cooper. The best way to describe Nikki is that she's our mother. She looks after us. We follow her on our tours. She has a flag up and we just follow. But more importantly, she is the architect of the annual report. And it's a bloody wonderful report. And I think it's probably the best annual report of any listed company in this country, and I'd like you to applaud her. My darling wife who wore the yellow coat, and thank you. It's not easy.
Are we allowed to applaud her too?
Yeah. Thank you for helping me out. To Don Braid, who surprised me, because sitting at the back of the room is my daughter from New York. Thank you. Now, I'm not sure where all this is going because I'm getting a bit wobbly now. So, thank you all, shareholders, and of course, our Mainfreight team out there, some of them I see out there. What a wonderful job you do, and I thank you on behalf of the shareholders. So thank you, that's it.
Thank you, Carl. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the formalities. But before we invite you to join the directors and company executives for refreshments or a glass of Villa Maria's excellent wine, there's one more important matter to address. Don, would you like to take the floor?
Thank you, Bruce. Carl Gascoigne Oliver Howard-Smith. You thought it was all over? 40 years of impeccable service, loyalty and hard work. And in most cases, some sartorial elegance, although in later years that's disappeared somewhat if you cast your eye to the photo and the galoshes that were worn in the latest annual report photo. He started to lose the plot. On behalf of the Mainfreight people around the world, Carl, you've become a mentor and a friend to all of us, to the Mainfreight senior management, but you're respected and admired by the entire Mainfreight family. You have been the voice of reason at the board table on the merits of governance, the good, the bad and the ugly, and of course our official travel and gastro guide, although we don't think we will miss you biking around Amsterdam anymore. Your legal acumen and guidance is second to none. And I know that you think that I don't believe there's any law that if it doesn't apply to us, it shouldn't apply to anybody else. However, your guidance has been second to none. You're the negotiator extraordinaire. You draw on intellect, wile, and experience, particularly in the courtroom. A very quick story. When Daily Freightways was sold to Mainfreight, Carl was sitting there at the end of the table as I presented how good Daily Freightways was. And I kept looking at who the Indian lawyer was at the end of the table, wondering what the hell he would know about moving freight around New Zealand. Not long after Mainfreight had bought Daily Freightways, we were known as Daily Freight, and we had some small hiccups moving hazardous goods around, and Bruce thought that it might be a good opportunity for me to see the benefits of Carl Howard-Smith in action in a courtroom. From that time on, I understood just how good he was in front of a judge. You're a wise and calming influence. He never allowed ego to interfere with getting a deal done, either his or ours. And of course, those of you that have read the story in the latest book about the Wim Bosman deal, after Wim Bosman spilled the red wine down the front of his white shirt after I told him to off, it was Carl that managed in a calming way at the bar to settle me down, to get rid of my ego, and then settle Mr. Bosman down. And by the 9 o'clock the next morning, the deal was done. His humour and self-effacing style around the board table will be missed by all of us. To the shareholders in this room, those of you who represent associations or the like, or for that matter, fund managers who have invested an enormous amount of money with us, who think that they should employ faceless individuals to vote for directors on our board. Let us not succumb to inane bureaucratic best practice that sees experience, intelligence, dedication, and committed contribution replaced for the sake of so-called independence. I have no doubt that Carl's decision to step aside was driven by these influences. And for us all, shareholders and the team alike, he will be a loss and sorely missed as a director of our company. Whilst we're losing Carl's influence, however, his knowledge and experience around the board table, Carl remains in his role as General Counsel, which is welcomed by us all. Carl, Bruce, could you join me up here? Firstly, to Pamela, if you could join us as well, please. Your support has been a huge part of Carl's success. Your assistance, your words, that sixth sense that I'm sure has helped Carl immeasurably during some of our toughest negotiations. Thank you on behalf of all of us for his support.
Thank you.
Just please stay. Carl. No, we'll do this. You face this way. We're in logistics. On behalf of us all, Carl, Bruce, you might want to tie that, a gift in recognition of what you have done for the business in our own way.
Carl Howard-Smith! A nei rā mātou! Ngā uri o te ara taua! I te ni atu ki a koe, mō tō mahi, o te tēnei whānau! O reira tere mi, e mihi paku ngare tō mahi! O ata, o atu rā! Papakai tauana! Tauana! Tau ka tōnau! Tau ka tōnau! Te ka tonu atu ki a koe e tama! E ki te koe atu whakaro pakia! E ki a hatoiki! E ki a hatoiki! Mia! E tama te wawana! E tama te wao! Roina hokia! Te koe o te wawana! E tau! Ana! 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 Oue! Hui! Oh! Whirunga!
Now we can have a glass of wine.